Have you been feeling a bit irritable lately? Like irritation, your dominant emotion, and you just cannot explain why? Do you sometimes snap at people you love, and then few hours later you feel a bit terrible about it, or maybe even guilty? Do you keep yourself busy at work so much so that you seek escape in work? And with these dominating emotions of irritability and frustration, when you get a moment of quiet time in your life, you find that there's something inside you that's knocking hard, something inside you that stirs you, but you quickly push it back, you suppress it. Well, if this is you, I want you to stay with me for the next few minutes because I made something for you. Let me share my story as I share more about what is it all about. So the image you're seeing here, this is exactly how I look like 9 years ago. Totally emotionally exhausted, sitting with a dehydrated body and a exhausted mind. It was a sultry, warm August afternoon, and being a caregiver to my ailing father, I was so exhausted that I was looking for something, maybe like a shortcut to my exhausted mind that can bring in some relief. So I stumbled upon a guided breathing meditation. And this was my first time because I've never experienced what a meditation is, let alone a guided one. So I said, okay, let me give it a try. And this was actually a promotion video by a brand. So I took that, and it was the first time in several years I felt a deep sense of calm after that 5 minute, very restless meditation I did. It was not the calm that usually comes from sleep, a very different kind. And that day, that moment was a starting point of a journey, a long one though, slow and also painful sometimes okay, a journey back to myself. That point in time, I was carrying a lot of grief. I've been through significant personal and relationship loss. I was grieving, but then responsibilities never stopped coming to me. So I did what most of us do. I kept going. I kept going. I stayed strong. I sought refuge in work. I became a workaholic. I stayed busy. And in all of this grind, I completely abandoned myself in the process. What really helped and brought me back was not even therapy, even though I took therapy and I'm myself a cognitive behavior therapist. It was also not a course or a program, but there were some simple tools and the help and assistance of my mentor and my coach. And these simple tools I practiced consistently, privately at my own time, gave myself the permission to invest, hear myself again, and here I was, a combination of seeking support in form of a human connection of a mentor and a coach, journaling, meditation, breath work, a trauma-informed work. All of this together, one step at a time, almost a decade. Today, I found my way back to myself. So I've put all of this part of a journey that I have lived through into something I call the first aid for the neglected self. So, what is it exactly? This one is a 15-day email series, and this will be delivered to your inbox when you sign up for this 15-day email. And each of those mails are written by me because I have lived those years, those grief, those losses, those anxiety, overthinking, and everything. So I've shared that from my own lived experience, along with tools and techniques, how you could rebuild your connection back to yourself. Now, inside each mail, I have also imbibed a tool. I made this something so private because I'm an introvert and I love doing things at my own pace. So this is a space exclusively designed for you, something you can use alone, privately, at your own pace, when no one is watching you. This is designed for you who may not want to be part of a group or share your uh, issues within a group of set of people or in a webinar. This is for you when you can, in the place where you most like to be, you feel most comfortable and safe, where you access it, it's entirely yours. So this is what this 15-day of email series will bring to you. Let me walk you through how and what these 15 days email would look like. So I've divided it into 3 phases. The phase 1 is, I call it see it, meaning we begin in the body, not the mind, because we are already exhausted and overwhelmed. And a tired mind is too loud to directly reach with concepts and tools. So the first thing I offer you when you sign up here is a 10-minute guided meditation and a visualization technique, something you can return to again and again. And here's where we start first to build our sense of safety before we do anything else. From there, we move to expressive writing. So this is a work I'm inspired from Pennebaker. And this is, I'm also qualified in and have done this extensively. So the other emails here where I teach you how you go about using your writing skills, uncensored, unedited, where I also share with you my own story of how it all began. And this goes back to a time where I once promised myself that I will never write my thoughts on paper. And then what really happened? And I also will give you the same exercises that might crack something open up for you the way it did for me. From there, we move on to this revisit of what we have written. So in between these 2 mails, you might find a 2-day difference. Otherwise, usually most of the mails will be, you will receiving them every single day. So here's something very important happens here. You will have all the instructions in the mail, but once you have written down and using those tools and instructions and my story that I've shared with you, when you will revisit what you've written, it might be a very cathartic experience for you. And you will also get to realize many things the way I did, where sometimes I was floored and I was awestruck by the way I've written, and I couldn't believe these are my thoughts. And sometimes I was filled with self-pity. You will have your unique share of experience, and you have the tools there. But this is where you are very close to getting that breakthrough you've been looking for. Then we move into the phase 2. I call this the interrupted. Interrupted is where we attempt to unstuck where we are, the connection we have lost with ourselves. So here we are trying to now reconnect all our threads back to ourselves. So here we start with a mindfulness meditation. It's a very simple 5-minute practice, helping you, also guiding you to a technique, a specific technique, which you can practice anytime when your mind races into overthinking or you worry a lot. So through this, you learn how can you get back to your present self. Now, this email, once we've done with that, the next one will again have a tool. And most people who have taken up this tells me that this is a very pivotal moment they arrive at of all the work they've been doing so far, because this cracked something open up for them. And here I also share with you a story of insanely, deceptively simple questions, which I'm not going to tell you what are they right now, but I'll tell you something very interesting here. When I answered them for myself, which I also mentioned it in my story, as you come across this email, how I went blank. And within the next 5 minutes, I was teary-eyed. I was filled with a kind of very complex emotion when I realized that I was not able to answer a simple question, which brought to my notice that it has been 3 years and I had no single good memory of those past 3 years that I could recall. So when this moment, this reality dawned upon me, everything shifted. From there, we then move to the pattern recognition. So here again, I'll share with you a tool where we see, we learn more than we see. We learn how to identify our patterns, what are we repeating, connecting the dots, and seeing our behaviors clearly, specifically those which are there but not serving us and are quietly costing us. Then we come to the final phase, which is we rebuild the connection back to ourselves. This is the core essence of this particular emails will be to help you with the process of acceptance. This sounds very simple, but this is one of the most difficult, but the most liberating things you will ever do for yourself. Okay, now, who is this for? So if you're wondering that should you enroll in this 15-day email series, let me share some more details of whether this is for you. This is for you if you are exhausted in a way that sleep does not fix, literally emotionally exhausted. You've been through a very significant loss in the recent past, maybe a crisis, a collapse of something, but you kept on moving ahead, building your life around it because no one, not even your life, gave you time to stop and process it. With the weight you're carrying, you feel irritable, stuck, and disconnected from who you used to be. So if you're ready, even slightly ready, to stop being alone in this state, I want to tell you this is not therapy. I want to be very clear about that. This is a private space I've designed for someone like you who's lonely and alone, who lacks support, who's grieving. And it is designed by someone like me because I have lived every word of it, helping you find your way back to yourself. So this is a space completely free, no group calls, no live sessions, no one is watching, just you and your inbox and a quiet corner wherever you can find one for yourself. If this sounds something you need right now, the link is in the description below. I call it the first aid for the neglected self because that is exactly what it is. I'll see you in your inbox.